Good morning.
How you doing?
It's like 4 a.m.
Keep your seats. It's okay. Sit down. It's fine. Sit down.
We're in Vegas. It feels like 4 a.m., doesn't it? It's hard to get up. Thank you guys for coming out and spending time with us. Penn and I have been working on some things together, and as we've sort of talked about how magic and video games, what they have in common and where they're different, we've learned some things. And we thought this would be a great place to share some of the things we've learned. Maybe some of the stuff will be of benefit to some of you. Before we begin, a lot of people don't know that Penn has been an incredible advocate for our art. Some of you might know that, but he has been an outstanding defender of our medium. And in fact, you've probably seen it because you were there, but I brought a clip. Oh. I wanted these guys to see you in action. Now, you guys know Penn's all over the place. He does a lot of talk shows, and every time something comes up that attacks our medium, Penn's one of those guys that's on our team. Do you guys have that clip? Can you play that clip?
Most people that have guns don't use them on other people. You said if you had a gun, you're going to use it.
Well,
we don't.
What's that old saying? If you have a gun, you better be able to use it?
Yes. Most people are overwhelmingly good.
Okay, yeah, but most people have a gun. 350 million Americans, there are 310 million guns.
Right, that doesn't mean that most people have a gun. It doesn't distribute exactly that way.
But, you know, people are blaming violence in movies and videos on this.
Well, that's insane. That's insane.
No, really? It's not. What is it called? Art of War, Man of War? What do the kids play?
Call of Duty.
We don't allow that in our house. Really? So busy buying Call of Duty. There needs to be more hugs in households.
Those aren't mutually exclusive. Well, nothing in Call of Duty says you can't hug your family.
Well, you know what? This boy's favorite game, Penn, was Call of Duty.
Yes, and many peaceful people. You're doing the same thing. Call of Duty is the most popular game there is. Everyone's playing it, so of course bad people are going to play it too.
Yeah.
To try to blame Shakespeare and the violence in Shakespeare and the violence in art for violence that happens in the real world is something that's been tried for years and is always wrong. People must take responsibility. We must stop blaming society and actually blame the perpetrator.
Yeah, you know what?
Call of Duty is something that young people like and enjoy, and it's a game.
I think
and most of those people aren't violent. Most of the people are violent.
We need to take responsibility for our own houses.
And we have to stop disliking our children. We attack comic books. We attack monster movies. Now we're attacking video games. Love our children and know that they can play.
Take care of your household.
Let them play.
Jamie Foxx is one of the only celebrities that
Jamie Foxx is wrong.
Well, he says we cannot turn our backs and say that violence in films or anything that we do doesn't have some sort of influence. It does. I go along with that.
Blame the killers. Why not blame the killers?
Well, some of the killers learn their killers through movies.
Blame the killers, not the artists. Right. Why are you blaming artists for something that bad people did? And Shakespeare is not a bad person. He wrote beautiful stuff. It has suicide, it has murder, and it tells us something about our hearts. And people who watch Shakespeare don't kill. And Call of Duty is art. It is not some sort of propaganda.
Jesus. Calm down, big fella. Calm down, big fella. It's so clear that anybody that watches Call of Duty goes out and kills everybody. Why couldn't she get that through my head at that time? You know, it's funny that I end up defending this because I know nothing about it. I may be the only person who's been on the cover of High Times magazine and has never had a puff of marijuana in my life. I've been a defender for people to be able to legalize marijuana and other drugs my entire life, and yet never even had a drink of alcohol. And it was kind of the same with video games. You know, I just don't draw a line at art. My partner Teller, his definition of art is whatever we do after the chores are done. Which means there's one show business, and we're all in it. I mean, whether you're the mall Santa, or whether you're Ron Jeremy, or whether you're Bob Dylan, or whether you are Picasso, you have precisely the same job as everybody in this room. We're doing stuff to fulfill and enrich and inspire and make the human heart more expansive and understand things. And so I've defended video games without being someone that played them.
When did you first, like, you've played video games?
Yeah, sure.
So tell us about, like, what kind of
There's this thing called Pong that you all got to try. Yes, I have played them, but the person who really kicked my ass about this, I always defended it on a theoretical basis, but I felt separate from it. And one of the reasons I'm sitting here now, one of the reasons I'm talking to you seriously, is Mike Nesmith, who was one of the Monkees, but of course is much more than that. Real intellectual, brilliant man. I went to visit him to just talk about stuff. And he said to me, how many video games do you play? And I said, well, I don't really play video games. He said, I don't allow anybody who works for me, and I won't have a serious conversation with anyone who doesn't play video games for an hour a day. He said, that is requirement for being around me. And so he sat me down, and my first time playing video games, really seriously, was as Papa Nez. I was Mike Nesmith at his house, running through. Well, he sat playing guitar next to me and telling me what to do.
Which games did you guys play?
I played Call of Duty. I played World of Warcraft. Played a few big group games. And his point was really important. And I think my children need to really thank him, because it changed my whole way of dealing with my children playing video games, which was, he said, rock and roll is not rock and roll. Since really 1964, the powers that be have learned to co-op rock and roll. And no matter how much we try to say, I mean, we have geniuses, you know, we have Kendrick Lamar, and we have other geniuses working in music today, Lady Gaga, certainly, but it's still building on rock and roll. And old people my age and even older, know the names of people in music. There is no revolution happening in music. There's barely people speaking out against gangster rap. You can't really get any sort of excitement there. And then Nesmith pointed out that if you look at the old 50s stuff of guys grabbing records and going, rock and roll has got to go, and slamming it down like that, you don't see that anywhere except in video games, where I imagine you people remember, no one else seems to, but the last time Hillary ran for president, her very first campaign ad, her very first point she made was that she would crack down on video games. I urge you to remember that.
Leaves us in a very, right? Because we know how you feel about Donald Trump.
Oh yes, if it comes down to Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, I'll be on my knees giving her head. But until that actually happens, we can be against her, okay?
I'm with you.
Till we actually have that gun to our head, we will do the right thing.
I'm with you.
But the point is that very clearly, everyone under the age of 30 knows the names of people in this room. They know the names of games, they know how to play them, and yet people over that age, that magic age of 30, that was where the whole 60s were fought, is happening right now, and people don't see it. And Michael Nesmith just sat me down at his house and just slapped me until he said, what you need to know is if you liked rock and roll in 1971, you need to love video games right now. It is the same thing. It is where our culture is. It is what's important. And that conversation led to me sitting here. I'm sick of defending video games without being part of it. I want to be in a band now.
Yes, yes. And it's interesting, actually, what you're talking about, in my opinion, is the largest generation gap in the history of our species, right? Because like even rock and roll, the old fuddy-duddies knew what music was. They knew what music was. They just didn't appreciate the content.
Exactly.
But the old folks, which happen to be policymakers, they don't even understand what this medium is all about. Now that's changing. These things are helping. And
yes, it is. And also, you don't need, and this is the point I was trying to make to Wendy Williams, it was difficult to get across, is you do not need to understand the art form to love your children.
Yes.
You do not need to understand the art form perfectly. There's something, you don't expect me to relate to video games the same way my son does, who's 9. You know, he has it's a natural thing for him, you know.
So your children grew up with video games.
Well, they don't know any different. You can't possibly explain to a 9-year-old that we had telephone before the internet. You know,
right.
So there's no chance of understanding the rest. And his way of parsing art, you know, I did an argument at MIT. There was some sort of think tank back in the 80s talking about multiple endings, branching in art. And I did an argument about how that really hurt art to have branching, because you didn't want different plots in Shakespeare. You don't want to have someone be able to click and say, do Romeo and Juliet live? You know, you don't want to have that choice, because the art is the tragedy in the art. Right. And it really has taken me, and my son has helped me with this, to be able to see that there is an emotional and artistic sense in different endings and being able to branch. Right. And one of the things we talked about a lot is there's a thing in magic, and I think we're going to pretend we're among friends here.
Yeah, so, you know, one of the things where this leads, right, you get that Penn is thinking, wow, I need to get into this. And one of the things that Penn and I have in common is if we're going to spend time with our friends, we're probably actually going to be spending that time doing something productive together. So we started digging in, what could we make? Let's spend more time together, and what could we make together? And this is where we were taking the lessons that we have from you know, you obviously are one of the, not one of you, in my opinion, you're the greatest magician. You and Teller are the greatest magicians on the planet.
You had to throw him in, didn't you? But thank you.
But no one could doubt what you've achieved. You know, I messed around with it a little bit when I was in college, and you know, performed at the Magic Castle in Hollywood, and had a regular gig at a magic nightclub. But we had a common language, and we started discovering that there are things that we know from magic that have yet to be applied to interactive entertainment. Now, some of these things we are applying in some ways, but there's some things that we have completely yet to apply. And as we started playing with those things, we were discovering some cool stuff.
Yeah.
And one of them is this idea.
Well, this is something, I mean, this is deep magic stuff. This is stuff that...
yeah, and we're going to treat you as if you're on our team.
Isn't talked about with lay people very often.
Yeah.
But the idea that I needed to understand was the same, is there's a thing in magic, and it's a very, very advanced concept, is multiple outs. It's not done very much in stage magic, but it's done an awful lot in close-up. As a matter of fact, anyone working close-up is using multiple outs all the time. And where that's interesting and how it deals with branching is that in multiple outs, the magician doing a card trick for you may very well not know what trick he's doing or she's doing until the trick is finished. In other words, they're in the same position you are. And one of the really deep fooling things you can use in magic is people think at the end of a trick that you knew that the end of the trick was where you were going when you started.
That's right. And you'll notice a lot of magicians, when they do perform magic, they walk you through these steps, this line of logic. And we do this in video games. We'll follow, you know, play by our rules, follow along, and we'll carry you along. And you just sort of trust the magician, but they don't tell you where they're going. And we do this in video games too. We don't tell you where they're going, but that could be exploited because the entertainer in a live interaction might not know where they're going and is crafting that path.
I mean, to give you some really deep stuff, the real serious magicians, if they're going to do card tricks for you, the first thing they'll do is they'll try a card force. They'll try to get you to pick a card when you think you have a free choice. And there's a lot of ways to do that are 100%. But those ways that are 100% are a little less fooling than the ones that are 50%, which are less fooling than the ones that are 25%. So if I'm going to do a card force, I can throw a deck out to you. Just throw it out, knowing that there's a little gap there that you're more likely to take. And if you take it, that's one whole trick with you having taken the card that I already know you're going to take. But if you don't take that, I just gather them up and then do what's called the card control, which is I take the card that you selected and I find a way to control it to the top and then reveal it in a way that's interesting. If you then take the deck, don't give it back to me, give it to your friend and choose to be a real asshole, then I've got a card index in my inner breast pocket that has all 52 cards in a way that I can reach in and grab them easily. So now all I've got to do is ask you your card, and I can have it in here and in an envelope instantly. So those 3 lines of defense.
Force, control, index.
Yeah, force, control, index allows you to do miracles. And if I don't know what the trick is when I start, there's no way you can possibly figure out the trick when we end.
That's right.
I'll give an example of this. We did Steven Spielberg's bachelor party, and it was a pretty amazing group of people. It was all A-list celebrities, and Teller and I working for 12 people, and we did a seance. And one of the gags in the seance was that we were going to have, in a petri dish of blood, while chanting in Latin, evoking the devil, something was going to appear in that would give us a biblical verse that would then predict something that had been chosen. So we'd thrown out, anyone who's read the Bible knows this, some of the appalling images that are in the Bible. We'd put out, symbolic kiddie porn, atrocities,
the best parts
incest,
of the Bible.
all laid out there horribly, and told the people there to pick an image that didn't, obviously they would like, but that pulled their attention, pulled their focus. And there was about 35 pictures on the table, so we're going to have about 8 chosen out of 35. And then what we're going to do is we have an elaborate move, Teller and I, where as we're gathering up the 8 they chose, we're going to lay in the one that's the hero, the one that we want to force. Then we're going to do a move with a shuffle, and we're going to pull the force card to the top and have that one selected so it appears in blood and then is in the Bible, and oh my God, they're witches, burn them, burn them, burn them. That was the gag. So we lay out these pictures, and Spielberg decides to be a dick. Yeah. It's his bachelor party, why not, right? And very playfully, as the pictures go out, before I give directions, Spielberg goes, this picture, this is the one we'll use for the trick. This one, this one, this one, and grabs a hold of it and holds it. Now, there's no way at this point that we can get our force picture to be used. The whole trick has got to change at that point, and we are, I'm going to use some technical terms here, we're fucked. Except the picture he's chosen is our hero picture. I don't know, God smiles on atheists, I suppose. He is holding our hero picture, and he is being really, really obstinate about this is the
dream
one
scenario
I'm going to use. It's the dream scenario.
It's
the dream scenario.
What we go to sleep wishing happens every time.
So what I say is, of course, because I'm a professional, I say, well, are you sure you don't want to change your mind? And he says, no. And when he says no really aggressively like that, I then realize we've really got him. So I go, no. Look at all the pictures and really consider, do you want to change your mind? Really, do you want to change your mind, Stephen? And he goes, no. And I go, okay, we'll go with that then. Now, if he were to tell about that trick to anybody in the world, any magician in the world, there is no magician in the world that can tell him how that trick was done, because we took a different route. And video games are many times have that kind of what's called in magic misdirection, but it's actually not misdirection at all, it's direction. And one of the things is we've been playing around in the VR, but also in more traditional second screen games and so on. We've been finding that one of the challenges in video games is precisely the same as in magic, which is how to have someone make a totally free choice.
A perceived free choice.
Well, I was going to end it with a punchline. But yes,
sorry.
A totally free choice, put their attention exactly where they want, and have us know where that is.
Correct.
Yeah. Have that go in, and not have that being done by saying, a lot of times when people are explaining misdirection, they explain it as look over there while you do something here. Misdirection is never that. Misdirection is letting that focus go where it's going to go. Right. And the most important skill a magician can have, you don't learn, like piano, you learn the actual skill of the keyboard. In guitar, you learn how to play the guitar. But in magic, you don't learn how to magic. There's no prop. Cards are close, of course, but there's no real prop. So what you learn is where people's attention is.
That's right.
That is the most important thing in magic.
And in order to succeed as a magician, we have to become expert at controlling that. Now, one of the interesting things about this line of thinking is there are new technologies that are available today that are emerging that actually give us some new options with multiple outs, with direction. For example, we have virtual reality coming. Another one, we have the cloud. We are doing simulation on the cloud. I've invested an absurd amount in our own online infrastructure for games like Borderlands and Battleborn so that we can do simulation not on the client's computer. And if we can do simulation somewhere else and we're connected to that player, we can then change the plot while the plot's happening. We can then change the outcomes in real time. And we will all get better and better at this as we become more accustomed to dealing with these new technologies. And it's really exciting. And so one of the neat things that happened as Penn and I were discussing these things, he's sort of, because he's not as deep in the video game world as I am, he's got this sort of objective view where he's trying to insert these things that are just the default base lessons you must have in order to successfully convince someone that magic is something that, to fool someone. And some of these basic lessons I've sort of, I haven't forgotten, but I haven't yet applied them properly to our medium. And it's something that's sort of been rattling around back there over my career, and that's why it's been really exciting to kind of take some of this.
And the other thing you learn to do in magic is to exploit a certain kind of trust.
Yes, this is key.
It is willing. You're not doing something immoral, but you do change where the trust is. And
before you get to that, let's talk about suspension of disbelief first and the difference between most mediums and magic. Teller says the difference between magic and theater is that theater is the willing suspension of disbelief and magic is the unwilling suspension of disbelief. When you go to a play and they come out and say, this guy's king, there's a battle going on, you just use your imagination. In magic, you say, this is a perfectly ordinary deck of cards, and then you're expected to prove it. It's the unwilling suspension of disbelief. But there's a bigger umbrella in that, and that says that what we're doing here, and this is a thing that, another one of the many things that Wendy Williams didn't understand, is that the games are being played in a safe space. Yes.
And that is the most important thing about art. Of course, we deal with horrific ideas.
There's humans involved.
But we deal with them in a space that is completely and utterly safe. And there is a big misunderstanding that always breaks my heart, that we think about gore, and whether we think about that in video games or comic books or gangster rap. When you have a 16-year-old nerd child, which I happen to have been, and that person puts rubber cement on their face and says, I'm a horrible burn victim, they are not celebrating death and pain. They are celebrating youth, life, and health. There are certain things, certain horrors in our world that we cannot defeat. Death is certain. Pain is certain. Suffering is certain. We cannot fight that in the real world. And yet, in art, we can.
That's right.
When that 16-year-old boy looks like a horrible burn victim and then is able to go, but it's just makeup, I'm okay, that is the strongest fuck you to death and suffering that humans are allowed to give. Yeah. We can't get rid of it, but we can say fuck you in our art. And one of the things that video games does is it allows a playfulness of fear and aggression, which is another way to say excitement.
We're also simulating
that.
Either reality or non-reality.
So you can explore in that space and be comfortable without anyone getting hurt.
That's right.
And that's the
key.
part they always forget. Yeah. No one got hurt by comic books. No, and my example of Shakespeare there is not facile. It's not easy. It's not an easy example. It's a real example. They did not allow in Elizabethan times Shakespeare to work in the city of London. He was marginalized. He was put off to the side, and people were against theater for the precise same reasons they're against video games. It's the 21st century. Stop fucking beating up artists.
That's right. That's right. Now, one of the other things that is interesting in magic sometimes, and it's a technique I love to do because I really like the sensation of making my audience uncomfortable. And this is magician in trouble, is what we call it. And really, it's when you think things have gone wrong. It's rarely done in video games, but the few examples where we've played with this have left an impact on us. Do you remember Shadows and Darkness, I think was the name of that game? Or when they tell you, oh, the controller's unplugged, or the power's gone out on the machine. These are very powerful tools we can use. Anybody with the first parties, you're gonna have to relax your lot checks and your checks on that so we can play with that more. But these are powerful things, and we should allow ourselves the freedom to use these platforms to give these strange feelings, because that's the point, right? We exist. It's exactly what Penn talks about. We're all going to die. Life is rough. We're going to experience pain. The reason why everybody is in this room doing what we do is because entertainment gives us a way to experience joy and happiness. It can give us, it basically is a vehicle for feeling good. And there's lots of ways to feel good, but entertainment is a way that can be commoditized. So we can actually make a living getting really good at making other people feel good. And so let's see. I've got a list of some of the elements of magic technique. We've talked about suspension of disbelief. We've talked about misdirection. We've talked about multiple outs. We've talked about magician in trouble. We didn't talk about equivoke, but we want to show you something that we've sort of put together. So can we get out some of the things we're going to need for this?
And while he's doing that, there's another thing that's pretty interesting, which is you want to really study what people take for granted.
Yes.
One of the things magicians study the most is what people take for granted. And one of the things we've been playing around with is when a friend is showing you a new piece of technology, what kind of things do you take for granted as they're doing that? And this came up with we just banged this together. First of all, I think a lot of this is just an excuse for Randy to be able to do a magic trick. And I'm gonna mostly watch that. And then we're gonna do another thing, which is kind of in VR. So you're gonna set up your stuff over here?
Yeah, so we're gonna do two tricks. The first trick is we're gonna do a classic. I'm just gonna do a card trick, and you're gonna see what magic looked like before we use technology. And then we're gonna do basically the same exact trick again, but we're going to do it in virtual reality using video game technology. And this might be the first real virtual reality trick. I need a volunteer.
Yeah, he's gonna pick somebody.
I need somebody from the audience.
He wants someone that he doesn't know.
Somebody that I don't know. Do you know me? I can't quite see you. Yes. Okay, we just met. What about you? Would you mind helping us?
Yeah, we got to lead you.
What's your name? Get with him. You're gonna have to come around.
Yeah, we'll
they didn't
do a trick for you here. She has to go back around and up the stairs because I guess this is an actual force field or something. You can't get through here. But they did not want us accessed to the audience.
Hey, Sean, you got that knife? It's okay. Thanks, man.
It's okay, thanks. And
hopefully we don't need this.
Couple of perfectly ordinary. You realize that we've given away most of what we're going to do
That's
here.
That's right.
We've already explained to you how.
You know that you actually know the secrets.
Hello, my name is Penn.
Hello, Penn.
Hello, Caroline.
Hi, I'm Randy. A pleasure. And we haven't met. We haven't arranged anything.
He's the magician. I'm just standing here. Don't mind me. Me just standing here. As a matter of fact, I could be like Teller. I'm just going to shut up. Won't say a word.
This is a switch.
This is me standing here quiet, doing nothing.
Carolyn,
take it, Randy. Go.
I've got two decks of cards. I've got two decks of cards. I've got a red deck and a blue deck, and they're unopened. They're sealed in the plastic. You choose one that you're going to use. You're going to do a trick for me, and I'm going to do a trick for you. I'll walk you through it.
Free choice.
Free choice. Which?
Both decks are the same.
No force at all.
One's blue, one's red. Sealed, no difference.
Now you'd like to. Now just to be clear, you want to use the blue deck.
You want to change your mind?
The blue deck.
And you're
no,
going to take
really.
this
Do you
deck.
want to change your mind?
I'm really good with
No, really. Do you want to change your mind? You can if you want.
I'll be good with the blue deck.
Okay, Caroline.
Really?
Yes.
Yes.
You got it?
I got it.
Would you like to change your mind?
No.
Okay.
Open it up.
Open the deck.
If you need some help,
Too late to
you should
change
be able
your
to do it,
mind
but if
now.
you need help, this is there for you.
Open your deck.
And of course, I'll do the trick with this red deck right here.
Perfectly ordinary red deck.
Absolutely ordinary.
Just like any other red deck.
Just like every other deck.
Every
yeah, that's
other
fine.
red
Now
deck in the world.
open the box up.
I'm doing
There's a little
nothing over
seal. You can use your thumbnail or use the knife if you need it. Peel that off. Open the cards. I want you to.
No, you don't. No.
Yeah.
Do it. No, but you can use the knife.
Here, let me
use
show
the
you how to
knife
do
like
it.
a human, not like a crab.
There you go. There you go. Now take the cards out. Make sure that they're ordinary cards. Get rid of the advertising cards and the jokers. We don't need those.
Perfectly ordinary cards.
Yeah, just get rid of them. And shuffle them up.
No way you could ever gimmick a deck of cards and put in a sealed deck. Couldn't do that.
Absolutely
That would
not.
be impossible. Who knows how to use cellophane? Nobody. Cellophane is a new technology.
And make sure they're regular cards.
Certainly couldn't seal that back up with Scotch
Look at their
tape.
faces, spread them out. They were in new deck order. Now you've shuffled them up.
Throw it on the floor, not us to
All
clean
right, so
up.
now face down.
Face down.
Spread them out. I'm going to pick a card from your deck, and you're going to pick a card from my deck. So spread them out as best as you can. That's fine. Just spread them out here. And we're gonna look at these cards.
You couldn't possibly know where any of those cards are.
All these
Brand
cards.
new deck,
In fact,
you shuffle them up.
Let's make sure. Let's show the audience. It's a regular deck of cards.
Perfectly
Can you guys
ordinary
see
deck
this?
of cards.
Got that zoomed in? Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to take one at random.
One at random.
And this is the card from your deck. Right there. All right? Now you're going to choose a card from my deck.
From his deck, perfectly ordinary. Now, we don't want you to, Randy didn't look at your cards, so you have to follow the same thing. Throw the jokers away.
Get rid of the jokers.
Throw the advertising cards away.
Get the advertising cards out of the way.
And now, Caroline, close your eyes so you can't know where any card is. Perfectly ordinary deck of cards right there. Perfectly ordinary deck of cards.
All right.
Now, Caroline, you pick one of those cards.
Absolutely free choice. Any
Absolutely
card you
free
want.
choice. That's the one you
Would
want.
you like
want
to change your mind?
You could change your mind. You sure?
Yes, thank you.
All right, so we have two cards selected. Now, you guys, you're going to help me out here. To her, this is a damn miracle.
Yeah.
This is a damn miracle. Let's see
Damn
which card
miracle.
I picked from your deck.
Motherfucking mirror.
You shuffled it. Ladies and gentlemen, the three of clubs.
Now, see what card you picked.
Now let's see which card you picked. Hold it up. Show the audience.
Three
A
of
miracle has
clubs.
occurred. So that's a trick created by our
Now that
friend.
is what a hack magician doing a piece of shit looks like. But it's a hack magician doing a piece of shit on stage in Las Vegas, Nevada.
You know, that's Billy McComb's trick.
I know.
You're calling Billy McComb a hack magician?
I actually wasn't. Actually, that trick is a wonderful trick, and Billy McComb was a friend of both of ours.
Yeah.
He's dead now, but a wonderful mentor to both of us.
Outstanding.
He developed that trick, and it's just, I mean, we let you in on a lot of it. Seeing that without seeing behind the scenes and without having some big dipshit heckling you, that actually is a miracle. That would blow minds. You would talk about that for the rest of your life. Caroline has no idea how we did it. We get another one for you.
Caroline, you're going to do the
use
trick
VR.
again. We're going to do the exact same trick again, but we're going to add some context, and we're going to use technology. We're going to use virtual reality. Can you bring our setup out?
Why don't you come over here between us?
Yeah.
As we
In
sit
fact, we'll
here.
switch positions.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
There's
can get rid of that table. We don't need that anymore. We've got a virtual reality rig here.
Trying to keep you in the light. That's
And
all.
you've got some cards.
I do. I have some cards here.
Context.
Instead of using cards of playing cards, we're going to use cards that are symbolic of some of the most important places you'd want to be in time and space.
One of the advantages of virtual reality is we can take you anywhere in the world or any time.
So we're going to give you a choice, Caroline, of a few places you could be, virtually be. We have one here, which is in Washington, D.C., the signing of the Constitution of the United States of America. This is back when they were putting the Constitution together, as opposed to now when we're taking it apart. That's one right there we could have. The other choice is, this is Albert Einstein, the last person to use that mustache unironically. And here he is at Princeton. This would be in Princeton. So we got
Lecturing
DC,
gravity waves.
about gravity waves. Actually, he's lecturing, I think.
Probably relativity.
We'll call it gravity waves because then it's topical and people like topical.
That's right. We'll
give
on
that.
it.
That's Princeton, New Jersey. We have
And these
another
are
one
just
right here.
regular postcards, so you can feel free to examine them as these.
This is Lenny of Vinci with the Mona Lisa And as Bob Dylan said, Mona Lisa must have had the highway blues. You can tell that by the way she smiles. That would bring us into Da Vinci, I suppose. That's what Da Vinci means. Alexander Graham Bell, the telephone. And the telephone, of course, leads right to video games. It just takes about 100 years or so.
The founding of Bell Labs,
Yeah,
first call it Bell Labs.
Here's another one. This is, I was going to say this is Neil Armstrong walking on the moon, but it can't be. Because who took the fucking picture?
It's Neil taking the picture.
Must be Buzz Aldrin on the moon.
That's right.
So that's taking place, of course, in Arizona, as we all know. Sir Isaac Newton, you know, one of the most important people. Also, we're talking gravity, we're talking Isaac, there it is right there. And that would be, I suppose, in England, right? For time and space. All these are covered. Galileo, who discovered that the Earth was not the center of the universe, and thus the biggest buzzkill of all time.
You ever been to Italy?
Yeah, Italy.
You ever been on the Tower of Pisa?
And then, I got to tell you, you can't go wrong with this. One of the most monumental things in history, Elvis Aaron Presley on stage in Las Vegas, Nevada. There it is.
So these are our cards.
Those are our cards. Now you're going to pick one of those.
I'll spread them out for you.
One of those is going to get you to be absolutely virtual, okay?
You got to make sure that you can't see, though, because it's got to be a random choice.
So we're going to have your random choice. I want to have you look at me, and then we're going to have you pick one of those cards. But close your eyes for a moment as we show them.
I want to show the audience. We're going to show the audience what we've got. This is Albert Einstein teaching at Princeton. Remember?
Princeton, it could be.
We've got, these are the founding fathers, by the way. It was Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, of course, was not Washington then. They had to argue about that for a while.
This is Leonardo da Vinci.
Leonardo da Vinci.
Right.
Mona Lisa.
And, look,
right
Alexander Graham Bell.
Alexander Graham Bell with gravity right there.
Okay. And
there's also gravity.
So I'm going to spread these cards out for you.
You can open your eyes here.
You can open your eyes.
And you're going to pick any one of those, and that's where you're going to go. But don't let us see it. Don't let the audience see it.
Just any one you want. Go ahead and just take. They're all different. Completely random choice. Just take one of the cards. You sure you want that one? Now, when you pull this out, make sure no one in the audience can see it.
And
make sure that Penn can't see it. Make sure that I can't see it.
Just you see it yourself and no one else. And put it someplace really safe.
No one knows what card that is.
Don't look. Look at it yourself and don't let anybody else
peek at it. Memorize that card.
Memorize that card, because that's where you're going.
Imagine going to that place in virtual reality and meeting that famous person from history.
Now, we have a tracking system that we've worked on.
Yes, let me get you set up.
Have you been in virtual reality before? Okay, so you know all about this stuff. So you can
you can face the audience and I'll get you set up.
You've got a pocket or something, you can put that in. Or even better.
Hide that someplace on your person.
Yeah, make it worth something on eBay.
All right, is that comfortable for you? Yeah. I'm going to leave this one up so you can hear me.
That hat. One thing I've learned about virtual reality is the people that work on this hate when you call this a hat.
And there's that. And can we get the screens to show us what she's seeing?
Because we're going to take her to that place, whatever that might be.
That's
but you're going to show someplace different. As soon as this pops up here, I have a button to orient you here. You put me in charge of the tech. We're not seeing what she's seeing yet.
Yeah. So A.
Is it A?
After you B.
I didn't do B yet.
There we go. Okay, so as these come up, we're going to use the miracle of virtual reality to transport you someplace.
Anywhere in the world.
You can go anywhere in time and space.
Anywhere in time and space.
And we're going to transport you somewhere using the miracle of virtual reality. Let's get past. You guys got to stop with
we're going to
use these logos.
A few little logos here, and then we can bring you anywhere you want to be. You can turn your head a little bit.
Yeah.
And we'll bring you anywhere you want to be. And of course, the place we've chosen to bring you is to D.I.C.E. in Las Vegas. You should be able to see the stage.
Can you see the stage?
Yeah, we're seeing what you're seeing.
Yeah, so and there's a it looks like a billboard there, but it's empty right now.
Now here is the technology we have developed, Caroline. We've developed this technology where we are able to read what you're concentrating on by just micro-muscular movements you don't even have control of, like a Ouija board or something like that. So here we should see, those are the 8 choices you were given. Now yours is among those 8. I don't want you to look at it or turn your head, but think about it, focus on it, like a Ouija board, thinking about where you're gonna go. Now move your head up and down.
Calibrating the system and also giving the software some information.
But keep your mind on the one that you chose, just that way. There we go.
And everyone's different. You might be thinking to yourself.
Yeah, don't think about the other ones, think about that one. And now we've narrowed it down somewhat. Let's see what it says. Look straight ahead. Some of them are going to go away as yours still there. Okay,
It's working.
it's working so
It's
far.
working.
Yes, we're gonna have one of these. So now we'll try again, focus, think about it. Move your head up and down this time. Now side to side. Yeah, keep thinking about the one though, keep thinking. Don't cheat us, don't cheat. Okay, we got it? Go in the center again, go in the center again, and now 2 more should go away, and I think if we're lucky, are you still there? Yes!
It's working.
She could have picked anyone in the world, couldn't she? Anyone she could have picked, and yet it's still there. This advanced technology is working. Let's try again. Now try to hold your head still, but think about which one it is. Okay, we're down to it, we're down to it. And,
2 left. Is
still
it there?
Still
it's
there. Down
it's
to
working.
2. Okay, now really focus, carefully.
Before we test the last thing, consider the situation and what might be going on here. I mean, anything, you don't actually know how this is working. Maybe it is actually detecting your movements. We perhaps could have used thousands of people running through the software, and we determined patterns. Maybe people nod their head the same way if they're going to pick one card versus another, or maybe we're using the minor movements in your eye, and we can detect.
There's a tracking device in there.
That's right. We've probably figured something out about the patterns of the way humans behave.
Because
this software is reading your mind. This might be the first technology that can actually read minds.
Okay, ready? Focus on it, Caroline. Focus on it. This is the big punchline. Okay, 99.4%. Look, that's a bullshit number.
You know what, though? It's enough. Let's take the risk. I think we've got this.
We're teleporting to the destination. Here it is. You are going to be somewhere in the world that you focused on, that you've been taking. Ba-da-ba. Huh. Okay.
You're on the moon.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I guess the trick didn't work.
Well, yeah. But you know, also Spock's Zarathustra, which was played in 2001 when the monolith is discovered, was also the music that Elvis used when he walked
That's right.
on the stage.
You know what? Close enough. Look at the Earth.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
It's pretty neat.
That's God's blue golf ball right there. Look at that. We should all. This is all kind of world peace. I think to say this trick failed would be to.
Well, sorry about that.
Sorry.
We'll get you. Do you mind if I get you out of this?
Yeah.
Sorry, the trick didn't work.
So
It did work.
It did work.
Yeah.
What do you mean it worked?
Look, you're supposed to pick the Elvis cards.
I have nothing but Elvis cards. I forced.
I did the deck switch, and you.
No, I did the deck switch.
We did 2 deck switches.
So I switched, and then you switched back.
I switched back. Yeah, I did. When I handed it to her, I did a switch.
So you actually picked the moon.
Yeah.
Prove it. You got the card? Show everybody what.
The moon right there. She picked the moon.
The software
and
works.
They walked on the moon. Thank you so much, Caroline. And thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Well done. Cheers.
And make sure don't jump off the stage like a punk rocker. Go back around like that.
What do you know? I guess I should give my guys a bonus. The software worked. Right on.
It actually works the way it's supposed to work, just like that.
Right on. Well, thank you guys very much. I hope you enjoyed this trick. And if anyone wants to talk to me later about how we've been learning about the applications of some magic principles in video games, and in virtual reality, and in, let's see if I can get this one out there. I can throw a card, though.
I'm learning about video games. He's learning. Yeah, you can do card throwing. So thanks a lot. Randy Pitchford on Penn Jillette. Thank you.